James Gunn tweeted out the picture of John Cena winning the title. Shout out James Gunn. That's my guy too. Rusev's first comments after returning to WWE. Here they are. So Rusev made a big return on Raw. We popped to it. Here's his comments after his match. Or it wasn't even a match. It was just him beating people's asses.
It's been too long. 5 long years. But finally Rusev is back where he belongs. And this time I will take what's rightfully mine. Everything.
There you go, man. Rusev's ready to Machka and crush, bro. WWE officially retired the Universal title, so the lineage of it is done. Cody Rhodes is considered like the first, although it's the same lineage, right? But it is just the WWE Championship, you know, and it's the undisputed title, and Cody Rhodes is considered like the first of this new line, and then John Cena. But the Universal title, it's officially in the books, so good riddance. Rusev has signed a 2-year deal with WWE, which me and Husey were messaging about this, and it's like, if he only signed for 2 years, don't fucking expect anything. If that's true, they don't got for that guy. So I wouldn't expect anything too crazy. Maybe like grabs the US title, or maybe he's like a Shinsuke type guy where he's up there for the world title, but he just doesn't quite get it because, yeah, I mean, a 2-year deal. And then Lana is on a Legends and Nostalgia deal. This is per Deadline, and the deals were negotiated by their agents, Paradigm. Did I read that on Twitter? Jericho's looking for a new agency too? May have read something like that. So, Paradigm. I wonder. A lot of rumors about him lately too. It's curious. Or maybe Fozzy is, or whatever, right? But yeah, it's good. Maybe we'll get Lana in the video games as just like a manager. I'm all for just adding the managers, you know, that are NPCs. But The Rock, he goes, yeah, I'm showing up on Pat McAfee. We'll circle back to that, but I quote tweeted this and I was like, you're kidding me. Marufuji is in a picture here, Noah wearing a Noah shirt, and he's with Shawn Michaels. And Michaels is like, great to catch up with Marufuji today. Always enjoy talking shop with our partners at Noah. Exciting things ahead as we explore what the future could look like. And so that made me think, hey, you know, maybe Noah's just locked in and they're down. They're down to just work with WWE, or maybe more particularly just NXT. And the problem is that Marufuji liked this tweet though. This guy tweeted out, bring him back, please. Triple H doesn't know how to do his job. And then Marufuji liked that. So I wonder if maybe Noah and NXT are more linked up and they more deal with HBK, and then New Japan is like Triple H's sort of endeavor into Japanese, rather the Rocks or whatever. I don't think it's as compartmentalized as it appears on the surface, as we'll talk about when we talk about Dave. Or maybe that got lost in translation and Marufuji just thought like that didn't mean what we, you know, maybe giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. Bayley reveals she has 1.5 years left on her WWE contract. So again, what have I been telling you guys? Bayley, some of these wrestlers are on there like, we're just putting people over stages. Okay. Now, I'm not saying Bayley's never going to wrestle again, but you got 1.5 years left. She's going to levy Tony Khan's money against WWE's. I don't see her going anywhere. WWE will re-sign Bayley. However, what if they offer her less and they don't come to an agreement or something? Like, we don't know. With Bayley, I feel like she's just on like the back nine, as you'll say, you know, not that she's washed or anything, but it's just, there's such an influx of women's talent, and Bayley really doesn't stand out that much anymore. I got to be honest. She's great. She's one of the best to ever do it. But since Damage Control, for me, if they spin her heel and she just goes super evil, maybe she can get something out of that again. But yeah, I've been saying it, like a bunch of these wrestlers, you know, I don't know how many more high profile matches Bayley's ever going to have at Mania again. She just last minute got taken off this one. How many she's got in her? 10? 5? What do you guys think? If I said 10 or 5, it's more like 5. Even that could be put right. She just got pulled off this one. How many years? She got 1.5 years left. So next one, hopefully she's on there. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of wrestlers in WWE. I don't know if people realize, like, the numbers are I told y'all, man, 2025 was going to be crazy. And I said a long time ago too, 2027 is going to be crazy for both companies. And I said that a while back. I was right about 2025 being crazy for AEW. I'm right about 2027, I think, being crazy for both companies. companies, right? I think it's going to be a wild year, man. And I say it all the time. I could see AJ Styles doing a one-off in AEW. People are like, he wouldn't do that. I could see him doing one in AEW. I could totally see it, just one after he's retired. Like, he won't sign a deal with them, but just show up and do something. I mean, I would not put that past him. Bayley, I don't know. As much as she marks out for her homegirls and she loves going to these shows at TNA and everything, I think WWE could keep her happy by letting her do like the Natty thing, and she could go do the Crockett Cup next year and go do Bloodsport if she wants. She can go to Japan. She can I think they'll do a TNA match if she wants. Like, I think they'll keep her happy in that way, and I don't think Bayley would go anywhere, not even for a one-off with AEW. Just my opinion. BET tweets out, from Orlando Magic dancer to WWE Trailblazer, Naomi talks with BET about black representation in wrestling and never dimming her light. So they do a big piece on her. Mainstream. Variety tweets out that WrestleMania 41 is the most successful and highest grossing event in WWE history. Now, what all these marks are doing, like Dave Meltzer again, WrestleMania didn't crack the top 10 and on Netflix. Where? This is the problem now. Dave is playing semantics. All these dirt sheet goofs, they're playing semantics by not clarifying it should be in the headline, not in the top 10 in Netflix in the USA. It's number one. WrestleMania was number one in the world. Every other country that has Netflix, not in the USA, because it was on Peacock, though. So this is the game they're playing now. Like, it's so dirty. People wonder why. No, we're not apologizing to Dave because he guessed that The Rock, that you're all calling The Rock a liar, but The Rock's telling the truth about the Dave part. You idiots. Which is it? No, Dave just guessed a 50-50 thing, was right about the same way when I fantasy mark book that comes true. It's not like you can get points for that. Unless you play against Phil, you can win a $50 gift card. No. That's fun though. We got to do that again. Yeah, like in the USA, they weren't in the top 10 because it was streaming on Peacock, right? It wasn't on Netflix. So, or maybe was it on Netflix in the USA? I don't even know. But everywhere else, it was number one. Like, it was being watched globally by everybody. So anyways, the most successful, highest grossing event. It was the most viewed WrestleMania of all time, up 114% from the record that was set last year. So there you go. That's what you need to be reporting. The Observer, WWE WrestleMania 41 misses Netflix top 10. Raw April 14 global views up slightly. So yeah, Dave's just an idiot. Here we go. Here's Randy Orton being outraged by WrestleMania prices himself. He was outraged himself by these.
Yeah, they were expensive. Lower bowl, C135 for both nights. Not a floor at all.
Our seats were like, what, 30,000?
Yeah. This is our first Mania. I'm like, you know what? Go big or go home. I know. And then SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, money ain't a thing to Orton, but like, still, you want fans to be able to not have to take out loans to go to the shows, you know? Because then you're weeding out a lot of the diehards too. So speaking of Mania, they released the POV footage of the lady getting crashed into. Yeah, everyone was fine. It just spilled some drinks and stuff. What? So, yeah, I mean, in the UK, it was number one. I believe in Canada as well. I don't really know what these goobers are always talking about here, crying. So we circle back to a couple clips from the roast were released. This is like all the footage anyone can find. So let's take a listen to both of these. Here's Paul Heyman and Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, who usually doesn't work too blue, you know? He's like a family act, but he was here at the roast having a good old time. And I hope we see this thing, but it was filmed professionally. We know that. But let's see. Here's Paul Heyman roasting Fluffy and some other people here at the roast.
Nobody besides being on Joe Rogan show until he went to the Republican National Convention and told a joke about Puerto Rico. Fluffy, of course, is up here. I don't know if he's a Mexican or a Cuban who pretends to be fucking speaking. Tony, meanwhile, makes jokes about Puerto Rico when he has the mustache of the 12-year-old homeless kid from San Juan. I think the 12-year-olds, then, to be honest with you, if you look around sometimes, they're probably the smartest. Oh, he's talking about you and your whole family, right? I mean, you're sitting there just sucking the maggot goo out of Tony's fucking dick, dripping it all over yourself, and sucking his ass so you can be up here in front of wrestling fans, but you can't sell out the joint unless you back ride on a Tony fucking Hinchcliffe who back rides on Joe fucking Rogan.
She's just like roasting Rogan the whole time. Is he even there? I wasn't there. I wasn't even there.
Meanwhile, the two of them are like my old ECW leather jacket, never coming out of the closet again.
He just said Tony wasn't coming out of the closet like his old ECW leather jacket. That's kind of funny.
Or, as they know when they go on the road together, Tony Hinchcliffe and Iglesias, Fluffy and Fluffer.
Paul's just like cutting a promo. He doesn't have like a stand-up cadence, you know?
Tonight we have heard stories and told stories about some of the most amazing superstars in this business we call professional wrestling. But out of all of them, the crowd only cheered and chanted one name. They didn't chant Paul. They didn't chant Tony. They didn't chant anybody else up here tonight but this one fluffy Mexican.
That didn't seem like a roast at all. Were they really arguing or something? I don't get it. So here we have like Strowman, McAfee, Miz, Sami Zayn. They're all sitting at this table. There's a bunch of people.
Easy, immediate, extra plug. Yeah. Braun Strowman, you look like a meth lab exploding next to a GNC.
Braun Strowman looks like a meth lab exploded next to a GNC. That's funny, dude. Oh, yeah, that's Fluffy right there. Okay.
That nigga got a creatine fetish. Braun Strowman looks like he drives a forklift with truck nuts. That's what. I was standing next to Braun Strowman all night tonight, bro. That smelled like racism and a poop. That's weird.
Where are these people watching it? They're like on a screen watching it somewhere. How? Where? Invite me over.
I was back there kicking it with my girl Nia Jax, her big back ass. I love. Nia Jax has the body of gold dust. Nia Jax's favorite sex position is the three-point stance.
Oh, Jesus. They're all grown, and all these same called her a fridge for a year, so come on now.
Nia Jax is into BDSM. Her safe words are down, set, hut. I said Nia Jax's name 3 times and my crock pot came on. That's what it did about my.
He just went in on he keeps calling her Nia Jax too. It's like, goddamn, he's botching the name. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they made the right call not to air that. I don't know. It just seems like the crowd wasn't that into it. The Rock, though, he announces, he's like, I'm gonna show up on the McAfee show, right? And then everybody's like, what? Couldn't show up at Mania? You're gonna call into this? And I think he was like in Hawaii or something. And so basically what came of this was 2 things. Everybody's calling the Rock a liar and a piece of, and then everybody's saying Dave Meltzer and Sapp and all these goofballs are owed apologies for being right about. No, they weren't right. They all contributed and painted a narrative that galvanized a bunch of people into thinking that The Rock and Triple H are compartmentalized and not sharing ideas, and The Rock is just showing up willy-nilly, ripping up scripts on the fly. We're changing this. Hey, I'm here tonight. Which there is an element of that. We know that if The Rock's in town, but we're supposed to believe The Rock about just this Dave Meltzer part, or just the part where Dave Meltzer 50-50 fantasy booked, they said Cody Rhodes could go heel or whatever, but they didn't do that. It seems like, yeah, he said after the fact. That doesn't matter, okay? The point is that The Rock here, if you guys are believing that, then listen to what he's actually saying. He's saying that they talk everything out, and Triple H is in all these talks, and they knew for like 2 months he wasn't going to be at WrestleMania. That's what he's saying. But if they didn't know for 2 months and that's the ending they came up with, I'm more pissed now. I'm less pissed if The Rock was just last minute going, I just couldn't be here or whatever. Honestly, I am, because it's like, okay, if it's last minute, sometimes there's just things where in fairness to WWE too, they never advertised The Rock. They didn't steal anything from the fans. Nobody came out and said The Rock was going to be there. But for everyone, like, we owe Meltzer an apology. No, you don't. He's lied about so many other things. Discord fanfic saying that they're internal WBD memos, right? I mentioned 100 before, okay? Saying people who in The Rock's family were dead that weren't dead yet without being able to confirm. Saying he has reports. These people, there's a report, Bill Goldberg's trading. No, you saw his Instagram post like everyone else. Reports, Mariah May's been a big fan of WWE and has always wanted to go there. No, it's not reports, Dave. That's not an inside. Our sources told. No, you saw it on Twitter like everyone else did. You saw people posting her old tweets. So, and then you're just trying to go, source said. It's like BJ Bethel, this invisible guy corroborated. No, it's a lucky guess. Even I was saying Cody Rhodes could go heel. It's either going to be Cena or Rhodes here. Someone's going heel. It's going to be crazy. Rhodes came out dressed in black. I was like, it's going to be Cody Rhodes. Even I was saying it the night of, okay? Because we really didn't know. Now, everybody wants to call The Rock a liar, but then they want to believe him about this one part. So when was he lying? Then or now? When's he this big liar? Then or now that he's sort of confirming what not just Dave said. I hate that it's even worded that way. I'm done wording it that way. It's not just what everybody said. Cody Rhodes could go heel too. But just talking about, like The Rock pitched, or it was pitched for Cody Rhodes to go heel, but whatever Dave said, okay, let's say he's right, broken clock right twice a day. Let's give him that. He doesn't get an apology for all the others. Like, it's not that one Rock thing. Maybe I'd have to even look over what he was saying, but it's just the overall narrative of him. And also, he was saying all this stuff was happening last minute when realistically The Rock just confirmed. If we're believing The Rock about this, then we have to believe him. No, they had this plan for 2 months. Triple H is in on these conversations, so it's not compartmentalized, and it's been 2 months. They knew that they were going to do that as finish. And they're saying last minute, or The Rock claims that last minute he was called to help the ticket sales of Elimination Chamber. Okay, so we discussed that on my show when Ari Emanuel was like, something crazy is going to happen at Chamber. You don't want to miss Chamber. It's going to be crazy. That was the Cena heel turn. So this isn't this sperm of the moment, as Jim Cornette would say, type booking that these sheets and Dave Meltzer helps perpetrate like this entire year like it was. Rock came in, so what it was it was going to be Cena with Travis Scott then, who was going to be involved in the heel turn. All they did was add The Rock. So that changed nothing about the outcome of that, right? So this was even more planned out than people think. The Rock didn't show up and go, hey, I'm going to show up and bolster ticket sales and show up with Travis like they had us all think The Rock was, or let's say what they had us all thinking this whole time. You would think then that the story would be The Rock showed up and was like, no, I'm fixing this. Let me be a part of this angle. According to The Rock, if we're believing that, he was called in last minute to just add to the segment and boost ticket sales and all that. So it was going to be Travis and Cena heel turning on Cody Rhodes. What I think, this is my theory, is that The Rock's saying a bunch of right here, folks. That's what I think. I think we don't know. I don't even think The Rock meant to confirm any dirt sheets. I don't even think he knows. And do you know who said that the dirt sheets were fully? Do you know who said Dave was fully about this specific stuff? Was Gewurz and The Rock himself saying, don't believe this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Meltzer gets no forgiveness. He gets no points. No, he can. This is what he can apologize for: saying people were dead when they weren't, pushing memos as news that weren't, lying about 30% in numbers that are people can verify aren't true by just looking at NBA numbers and stuff. He can apologize for all of those things first, and then maybe we'll go, yeah, you had that Rock one, huh? You had a hit in the last 5 years. Like, that's how this works. It's not like how do you explain this? Like, it's not like he's beating that of me the whole time and then I land a jab and it's like I'm winning the fight now. Like, no, now's okay, Dave. Start stroking him out. Where were you on the AAA news? And that's all it boils down to. It's all it boils down to. We're not going to start giving Meltzer flowers because he kind of semi-guessed a thing that a bunch of people thought could have happened. And because that liar Rock is saying it. Because I don't believe the Rock's saying anymore. I just really don't. I really think, because even in this interview, we're going to point out at one point, the Rock's like, yeah, the final boss doesn't need to be in this story. Like, he's not a part of it. That part's done. And then a minute later, he's going, we can come back to the soul. The soul, we can come back to that. I think the Rock's just talking out of his ass and by proxy made people think Meltzer was right about some. That's all it is. So you're all stupid. And I would like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody. And I'm doubling down on Meltzer being a dumbass here. So let's continue along here. Let's listen to some of these clips from The Rock, man. He shows up. We can read some of it. The Rock on his pitch for Cody Rhodes to turn heel and why he didn't appear at Mania 41. The Rock says, I was an advocate of that, not turning Cody heel soon, but down the line. So then what did Dave get right? So this is the thing. Everyone owes Dave an apology. No, Dave said that the pitch was to turn Cody Rhodes heel instead of Cena. No, that's not what happened. The Rock is saying. So people just didn't take time to read. They didn't take time to listen to or even look or understand any media literacy. Bunch of dumb who don't know how to read, bro. Okay? Illiteracy is down, and we need to bring it back. And so what The Rock's saying here is that he wasn't trying to – he's an advocate of turning Cody Rhodes heel down the line. You guys get that? So down the line with the soul thing, not at the Chamber. The Chamber was a last-minute thing. They already had it planned out. Do you guys get it? So Meltzer was not right about – Cody Rhodes was going to turn heel or whatever. Like, no, none of that was right. But his soul, what affects generations. When we got to Chamber, we were kicking ideas around and Triple H said, what about John turning? I love it. The next thing is you've got to speak to John and see if he loves it. John loved this idea of turning. So the night of Chamber is when they decided, or when we got to Chamber, is this them planning it out way in advance? You guys get what I'm saying? This is either The Rock talking about them planning all this way in advance, talking about, yeah, I'd love the idea of Cody Rhodes turning down the line from Chamber. And then when we got to Chamber, they said, John Cena, what about him turning? And Rock goes, I love that idea too. So no, this isn't, Meltzer was not right about anything. He said this is all him sporadically ripping up the sheets on the fly, and him and Triple H don't see eye to eye. And so if The Rock's creative overtakes Triple H's creative, we've covered it here on the show. Idiots. The IWC, bro, is real stupid, just overall. Yeah, it's insane. It's like either The Rock is talking about they plan this out way in advance, all of it, including Cody Rhodes not turning heel, but way down the road they're going to do that. So The Rock did pitch it. John loved this idea of turning, but there's this anchor here that I want to root it in. That's a real thing I've been experiencing the past 25 years. I knew then the best thing for the final boss is we've established this thing with Cody's soul. I don't want to be involved in that. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John Cena and Cody. Not to make it about Cody's soul or John's soul. Let them do what they do. So The Rock that wasn't a creative choice for him to go, let him step back. No, you got a Scorsese movie. So which part of this are we believing? Hey, Meltzer defenders, which part of this are we believing? Well, the one part is real, but like everything else, he's just lying. I called John and Cody after the Chamber, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. We just pulled off the greatest angle in wrestling history. I'm always here if you need me. Well, you weren't there at Mania when they needed you. So again, these are lies. The Rock's telling lies right now. I hope but it's best for the final boss to not be involved in that finish. No, it wasn't the best thing. Right? And you know that. So The Rock is here. He's copping out. This is like what Brian Last says about The Rock. It's not what Meltzer said. Meltzer's still wrong. That's what Brian Last said. He's just bullshit rocks right now. So you guys want to pick and choose what part of this we believe and don't? The Rock says the top WWE star texted him saying their soul was for sale. And The Rock, we have clips of this. So he says, Seth Rollins is like our Superman earlier in the interview. And then he later on goes, someone texted me, our Superman, a Superman in our company. And he's gonna join like this faction or whatever he's talking about. So pretty much he just stooged Seth right there. We got clips. Let's play some clips. So let's listen to him saying it himself and listen to this actor speech. He's just acting.
I knew then the best thing for the final boss, we've established this idea of Cody's soul. We can always come back to it. I did feel, and I made the call, I don't want to be involved in that. Step back. Let the final boss step back into the shadows. Let all the spotlight go to John. Let it go to Cody. Let's not make it about Cody's soul eventually or John's soul. No, let's let them do what they do. And I called John after Elimination Chamber, spoke to him, called Cody, and I said, I think the final boss's work is done. We've established it. We just pulled off the greatest angle in the history of professional wrestling, other than Hulk Hogan turning heel back in the 90s. I said, this is amazing. We have 6 weeks. Now, let's build. You guys go and crush it. And I'll be right there with you. And I'm always here if you need me. But I think it's best for the final boss not to be involved in that finish.
That's a lie, dude. I don't care what anyone says. He's trying to, guys, he's trying to make himself not look like an asshole for just not showing up while making excuses for not showing up. Do you guys get it? Meltzer wasn't right about
finish. You guys go. So they had 6 weeks to plan for that. So I love the finish of the match.
So The Rock says that TKO CEO Ari Emanuel called him for help because ticket sales for the chamber were slow and wanted something must-see. So is that what he was stooging on McAfee? So this is the thing, right? Either Ari way in advance, so people are like, oh, The Rock was just called. Some people are saying it. He said he was called however long ago. Okay, so when Ari went on McAfee and was like, you can't miss the chamber, it's going to be insane. The math isn't mathing on the timeline. I know because I chronicle this every week. I just think The Rock's lying, guys, okay? So are we to believe now that Meltzer's owed an apology because of Hollywood actors telling because he let a bunch of fans down and he's here doing damage control because his rep just got back in Hollywood and he's landing these roles and he wants to keep his rep? What do you guys think? And he goes, I came up with the whole sell your soul idea, then never paid it off. And then, so he came up with the whole sell your soul idea. And then a minute later, he goes, in this interview, he goes, yeah, I mean, The Rock doesn't need to be a part of this. The Rock story's done here. You guys run. He doesn't need to be a part of this one anymore. It's like, no, dude, he's talking on both sides of his ass here.
They know when I come to them, and them meaning Triple H and Nick and Ari as well, and I lay this out and I say, hey, here's how I really feel it should go. We can insert final boss in the end of this finish, but then where do we go? There's other commitments that I have.
See? But then where do we go? You go to the soul thing. You put that people's title on the line that you had Ali's widow hand you. That was a whole point last year. Like, The Rock's, he's lying right now. And he has other commitments that took over what he's going to do. And at 40, that was the last match we'll ever get from The Rock, which is fine. There won't be the last appearances in wrestling, but next time he shows up, he's just trying to save it so that next time he shows up, people still care. But most people, and I think wrestling fans now, are looking at him like, next time he shows up and gaslights us with a promo, I think people are just going to be, they're going to be like, nah, they're just going to reject it. So he's doing this as damage control.
And I want to also be careful that we're not overstepping and leading over our skis too much here. Can get involved in the finish. And I said, but why get involved in that finish when the spotlight should just be on, in my opinion, John 17 heel champion? What is 20?
Because you came out with Travis Scott, and Travis Scott was a part of the finish, so it only makes sense that you were a part of the beatdown and you helped John Cena win in 17, and it puts more heat on all of you. And then you guys, on the next night on Raw, you introduce that Heyman and Seth, or like Drew McIntyre's also in your crew, and then you have Drew sort of carrying the torch week to week. He can have matches, blah, blah, blah. People aren't just going after him. In fact, people are more scared to go after Drew or give him repercussions for any of his actions because he knows that he's tight with the final boss. You're lying, Rock, and that's okay. And people want to believe you for just the Meltzer part, but
it's 25 look like if this man is saying he's going to ruin professional wrestling. That to me is the anchoring storyline. It's not soul right now. Right now, it's not. But by the way, we'll go back to it. We'll
still got it. Yeah, still.
They know.
And then also, like, okay, let's say, because a lot of people are saying, well, it was a work. Like Cena said, he's going to ruin pro wrestling, and look at that ass finish, and they knew it. Like they knew this would all work out, and then The Rock will come back when he can, and they'll go back to the soul thing, and Cody versus Rock doesn't need a belt, and blah blah blah. Maybe they do, right? Like I'm not over here like David LaGreca freaking out and losing my. And maybe they do that, but. And I don't blame The Rock for not going out there and getting physical, although he could have not even got physical. He could have just walked out and stood at the top of the ramp, and then they could have just like added another guy like Drew in the ring with Travis and Cena, and then you're like giving the rub to another guy while telling the story of old man Cena getting the belt, because let's face it, right? Like nobody like new is really getting more over from this situation, especially with The Rock not being there. So I just think there were so many better ways they could have did this. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and cry about the booking, right? Because we need ebbs and flows. Like next year's Mania is going to blow me away because this ending didn't. And I'm going to be like, hell yeah, they nailed it. Or maybe it's, again, who knows, man? We can't predict the future. It's not like, oh, I'm done being a wrestling fan. All these dramatic pussies like you us and all this. Like there's going to be Mania next year, you know? Can't be 40 every year. It can't be 20 every year. It can't be 30 every year. So I've said that enough though on the last stream. But him just saying they'll go back to the soul, it's just such a dumb thing, man. And The Rock says Seth's our Superman, and then he goes on to say there's one guy who's my guy, and he's a Superman or whatever. Let's see.
I thought Seth is always delivers. He's our Superman. I love that guy. I connected with him after the show. The text that I got and from the guys that I got were these top guys who are saying, you know, one in particular who I love is my guy. I call him the Superman of the company. He's like, listen, my soul's for sale when it's time. I said, I love it. Let's do it. So
yeah, man. So he's talking about Seth. So let's say Seth and Paul. Seth and Braun are together, so maybe they don't do that. But I'm just saying, adding a guy doesn't need to be Seth. It could be Drew, whoever. Just adding a guy who's like that dude week to week, a workhorse. I think that would have been key. Like a heater for Cena as well. Like Cena's not here, but my representative's here and whatever. And then people are calling him an ass kiss and everything, but no one will do it because they don't want to get in trouble with the boss and all that, you know? And then you can get like a non-title feud between Cody Rhodes. And well, maybe Cody's taking a little time off, but when he comes back, you know, it's like him fighting their lackey or whatever. I just think that would have been more the way to go. I don't know who's not pitching this, but yeah, Seth saying he will sell his soul and join that group possibly. Let's listen to more Rocky. People saying he's on some.
But he was trying to tell you differently. Like, no, final boss. Anytime you're around is a good thing, not a bad thing.
No, well, they don't have to say anything like that to me. And they know when I come to them, and them meaning Triple H and Nick and Ari as well, and I lay this out and I say, hey, here's how I really feel it should go. We can insert final boss in the end of this finish, but then where do we go? There's other commitments that I have.
Yeah, so we pretty much listen to all that. But yeah, we can do this, but then where do I go? It's like, well, you have a match. Well, I can't have a match because contractually I can't, or I can't risk whatever. Like going to Scorsese and going, hey, dude, I blew my bicep. And he's like, what? End it somehow. End it at the Mania. Show up and like something. I don't know, bro. But that whole thing, like, well, where do I go? That's where it's like, if you're planning all this in advance, then I don't know. I believe what Brian Last has said about The Rock more now is just basically it. I'm not giving Meltzer credit for anything, for guessing all the time and being wrong about every single thing ever other than AEW stooging what they have planned. because him and Tony text. I'm not giving him credit for that. I'll give Brian Last, who even when Cornette's like, well, he's a big superstar and da-da-da, and Last's just like, he's so phony. Like, Last will always just call him out, and I think that's what we're getting. I do think Triple H botched a little bit by not having the foresight to plan this out better. I got to be honest. But, yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, was WWE News.